This is the second in a series of how a squash coach beats Jimmy Connor's minimally invasive hip rehabilitation. If you saw our previous video, you'll know that Jimmy Connors started to hit tennis balls 6 weeks after his operation. And you know that I started to hit balls 4 weeks after my operation, but it was using a teaching ball against a squash court wall. So a few days after that, 4 or 5 days after that, I actually got out on the court. So what you see me doing here is warming up with mini tennis with my partner, Shona Kerr, squash coach and assistant tennis coach at Wesleyan College. And I felt it was only fair to Jimmy. Obviously it was tongue-in-cheek, but a little bit unfair. I think a fair test of whether or not my rehabilitation was quicker than his is to have me actually hit tennis balls, which you see me doing here. Now, I'll readily acknowledge that Jimmy plays a lot better tennis than me, but if you've seen if you go to jimmysnewhip.com, the medical site, and you see him hit, I think you'll agree that I'm a little bit more agile, my movement's a little bit more free. I think I am 3 years younger, but I think it also has a lot to do with other factors, which we'll see in a second. The keys, the 4 P's of successful hip replacement, are: do not postpone the surgery, prehabilitate before the operation, after the operation use the principle of progression to progress, and then above all persevere. I think Jimmy probably waited too long before going into his operation. Before my operation, with a good warm-up and a couple of Advil, I think most people, if they saw me play squash, which is my #1 sport, would have said, why does he need a hip replacement? Incredible pain at night, incredible joint stiffness. Couldn't really move for 3 or 4 days after playing a hard match, but basically fully functioning, which moves to the next point, which is prehabilitation. I spent a lot of time on hip mobility exercises, flexibility and strengthening, and especially I set the operation date in July. Once I set that date, I really got involved in doing all those little exercises, a lot of stability on the Bosu ball, stability pads, to make sure that when I came out of the operation I'd be ready to go. And if you saw some of my other videos, you'll see that 2 weeks after my surgery I started with some stationary table tennis, and then progressively started to put a little bit more into the table tennis, and then rallied a little bit with tennis against the wall solo with a teaching ball, very soft. And finally here I am now, 32 days after surgery, moving around quite well, quite agile, no hip pain. But again, my partner Shona's hitting the ball right to me, so I'm not actually moving that much. And I'm working hard on these exercises, which brings me to my last point: perseverance. You've really got to persevere in doing all these different rehab exercises. I did want to correct one thing in the last video. Talking about the fact that both Jimmy and I coach. The tennis coaching I did was mostly as a mental training consultant, and I mentioned that one of my athletes, Sebastian Leroux, went on to win a gold medal. I said in '96, it's actually 2000, the Sydney Olympics. He paired with fellow Canadian Daniel Nestor to beat Woodbridge and Woodford for the gold medal. Sebastian got to #4 in the world in '96 as doubles, primarily a doubles player, won 17 ATP doubles tournaments and runner-up at 15. It is really helpful in your rehab if you have someone supporting you. And my girlfriend and racquetball and tennis doubles partner, we finished third in the World Championships a year ago in England. It's really great.
I went really easy on him because I really didn't want him to hurt his hip, but I hope I made him look good.
So good luck to Jimmy, and good luck to anyone else who decides to go ahead and have a hip replacement.